Have you ever thought about what Nickelodeon slime smells and tastes like? Or at least what it's supposed to smell and taste like? Because obviously it's probably just some gelatinous goop that they make, but there's something about it that just is kind of fascinating. I kind of want to just... I wonder what the taste would be like in my head. I don't know, maybe like kind of like some kind of sweet, kind of like Jello flavor? I don't know. But anyways, hello everybody, this is that Manga Dude, and welcome to a good old-fashioned reading log. This is the reading log for the month of September 2024. I didn't read too much this past month, just because it's been a very, very busy month. My birthday was also during the month as well, so I was celebrating that, and just a bunch of stuff was just kind of going on. So I didn't read a ton, but I did read a lot of really good manga. I mean, like really, really good stuff. So I'm excited to talk about that. So yeah, we'll get into it right now. Let's go. Alrighty, so the first manga that I read in the month of September 2024 is good old-fashioned Chainsaw Man Volume 16 from Tatsuki Fujimoto. We are continuing the story, and we just get this like really, really weird part. We meet this new girl who's kind of strange and odd, and yeah, I don't really know how I feel about where part 2 is going. It feels like it's kind of regressing, in my opinion, towards how I felt about part 1 of Chainsaw Man, where I just wasn't the biggest fan of the writing. I think the story is starting to kind of lose itself in my personal opinion. The action's still pretty cool here and there, but just for the most part, I just wish there was more going on, I guess. That's just personal opinion, though. I know a lot of people really love this series, and I just don't happen to be one of them. But yeah, I can see where it's enjoyable, but just, yeah, it's starting to really lose its luster for me. Alright, up next, a series that's definitely not doing that is Sakamoto Days Volume 13. This was a really, really nice kind of break between the two big arcs. We are getting a flashback arc, so we get to learn some more context about Sakamoto himself, as well as some of the other assassins that we've been meeting throughout the story. So, really, really cool. Action's still ridiculous and stupid, but still very, very fun to watch and read. Super excited for the anime as well. If you haven't checked out Sakamoto Days, you really, really should. Alright, up next, I decided to read 3 volumes of Delicious in Dungeon. This is volumes 4, 5, and 6 by Ryoko Kui. If you're wondering what this this bookmark is from, this is my fiance. She is also reading it as well. But Delicious in Dungeon just continues to be really, really good. I wasn't expecting it to be as dark and as action-packed. Because you tend to see a lot of like the comedic parts, which there is a lot of comedy parts throughout these volumes. But there's also a lot of just like really, really good heartfelt moments and really dark and sad moments as well. So really just really strong world building across the board. So overall, I am really enjoying my read through of this, and I can clearly see why people love this series so much. Alright, up next, decided to read the 5th volume of My Girlfriend's Child from Mamoru Aoi. Super happy to have read this one. It feels like we're really getting to like kind of like a boiling point with the school and her, and she's starting to proceed to make decisions for herself and not what everybody else is saying. So really loving the character growth that's going on with our main characters, and just really love her a lot. So hope for the best in the series, and hope it gets a little bit better for her. Alright, up next, decided to read the 11th volume of Furiden, Beyond Journey's End, from Kanehito Yamada and Tsukasa Abe. It took a while to get this volume, to be honest. Like, I think it was a few months since the last volume came out, but really happy to have read this. It was a really nice climax and ending to the Nacht arc, or where it's called, the Golden City arc. Pretty epic fights just across the board. Yeah, I haven't used that word in a while. Epic. Pretty awesome fights just across the board. Really great choreography, just really good design, and just character work in general. Really love all the stuff that we got with all these characters. It was a extremely intense moment, an intense fight between these two and these two, so really happy with where it went, and really excited to see where we're going in the next arc. So yeah, good conclusion to that arc. Alright, up next, decided to read the 3rd volume of Ado from Amano Jaku. This was a extremely action-packed series and very gory. The first 2 volumes were definitely had a lot of violence in it, but this volume specifically felt like it was just turned up to 10, and it got super gory and super intense, which I am not necessarily I am a fan of per se, but like at least in in context to stories and like fiction. But man, it got a little crazy at some points, a little like just very intense moments. So just keep that in mind if you decide to read the series. It does get very gory, but man, it is a lot of fun. I like this volume. I think out of the 3 that I've read, this has been the most interesting and most fun volume to read just in general, because the action is just top notch. When we get to meet some pretty interesting characters as well, and the story seems like it's going somewhere, unleashing more mysteries and answering others. So yeah, really good volume. I'm very excited for the next one. Alright, up next, decided to read Let's Do It Already from Aki Kusaka. Really good reprieve from the action-packed auto. Let's Do It Already is really fun, just like rom-com series following the story about these two here. The guy is part of like a very like famous political family, so he's strict to the rules. He's very much like needs to keep a strong reputation, and she's more of like kind of like a delinquent girl. But they at the beginning of the series they start dating, and immediately some things just go a little bit awry, because he's like, I don't know if I can do that yet, and she's like, but let's just do it already. So yes, I know the name can be considered to be whatever, raunchy, blah blah blah, but honestly, if you just read it, it's a pretty wholesome series. I actually like it a lot. It's also extremely funny. And this volume, we just get to meet one of like this guy's weirdo butlers. What do you want to call them? Like assistants? I don't know what you'd want to call them, but yeah. Overall, this was a great volume, and it's just a really fun series. So if you're looking for a very entertaining rom-com, definitely check this one out. Alright, up next, decided to read the 4th volume of Call the Name of the Night from Tama Mitsuboshi. Probably one of my favorite series currently releasing in general. Has absolutely gorgeous art and a beautiful story with some lovely characters. And I'm so sad that the series is almost over in English. I think the 5th volume is the last volume. But man, what Tama Mitsuboshi put together for this series is just absolutely remarkable. It's a wonderful series, and I'm extremely excited to see what they come up with next. Alright, up next, I read Dark Gathering Volume 9 from Kenichi Kondo. We get more creepy hijinks, we get more intense fights and things like that. We get the end of like the school possession or whatever you want to call it. And yeah, definitely getting some more interesting stuff about some of the characters, and some of like just the world building is getting a little bit better, and really building up to something that's going to probably be an extremely intense moment in this series. But very good volume once again. Alright, up next, decided to read School Rumble, Volumes 1 and 2 from Jin Kobayashi. This is a very silly comedy rom-com. I guess it's technically a rom-com. It's more of just a comedy series with romance elements. But it follows a story about this guy who is... okay, well, he's nowhere. But he's a delinquent dude that's totally in love with this girl here. But this girl is also in love with a, like, totally kind of normal-looking dude. So it's just kind of about, like, their hijinks and, like, the silliness and the goofiness. A lot of just really just ridiculous moments. It just kind of feels like we're in a very funny, odd, like, Saturday cartoon where it's episodic. You just never know what's going to happen, and I kind of love it for that. So it's very, very entertaining and very funny. I know there's an anime, and I know the manga is extremely hard to find now because it is from Del Rey, and as you know, Del Rey is no longer around. So yeah, if you manage to find these volumes, you definitely should check it out. It's pretty fun. Alright, coming into our next section, we have ourselves the beautiful, lovely, wonderful Last Quarter Volume 1 from Aizawa. This was so good. Or at least it was right up my alley. Beautiful artwork as usual from Aizawa. A really interesting and complex story already from the start. Follows a story about this girl here on the front who falls in love with this man that she meets on the side of the road, and they get into like kind of like a interesting relationship is the best way to put it. And then as he's proceeding to leave back to the United Kingdom, which is where he's from, he says, meet me at the place where you first met me, blah blah blah. And as she's there, something happens, and she wakes up in this like very bright and kind of cloudy area with a gate. She meets a young girl there, and then after that happens, the story switches, and now we are following the young girl, and we're trying to figure out what is going on. Who is the girl that she saw behind the gate? What is going on? It's a very, very interesting story, and very sad at moments. Has some really great funny moments as well. Yeah, it's just remarkable. I like it a lot. Definitely gets me really excited to read the second volume once it comes out, but probably one of my favorite things to release this year for sure. And yeah, if you haven't checked out the FVI for September, you can hear my full opinions on this, which this was my TLDR for that. All right, coming up next, I decided to read the 7th volume of Insomniacs After School from Makoto Ojiro. Definitely one of my favorite rom-coms. Probably going to be of all time at this point. It is just so wonderful. I love this relationship so much. These two are so great together, and just overall, like, the art is great. The story just flows so well. Such an easy, light, fluffy read with some very, very awesome moments just across the board. This one definitely ends in a very, like, there's like a really just sad moment towards the end of this volume, and I was just like heartbroken. But man, I love my main character boy. He is just, you know what, he is trying his best, and we love him for that. This was a remarkable volume. Alright, coming up next, decided to read the last 3 volumes of My Love Story because my fiance just got volume 12 in. This is from Kazune Kawahara and Aruko. This was just, oh man, what a great read. It follows the story of Takeo here, who is like this gigantic guy who falls in love with this girl, which I'm blanking on her name. That's kind of embarrassing. She's the other main character, but it's just basically about the trials and tribulations of their story, of their love story, as the name suggests. And yeah, we get some just absolutely crazy and just really like some just almost heartbreaking moments in volumes 12 and 13. It just like the intensity just wraps up. But I love the character writing. I love this story so much. I'm really glad that I got to finish it because it was super enjoyable. Had an absolutely fantastic time, and I had to read the series that Aruko worked on before they worked on My Love Mix-Up, actually. So yeah, it was wonderful, lovely, beautiful. You know what? I couldn't have asked for anything more. Alright, up next, decided to read the 2nd volume. Oh gosh, let's refocus there. The 2nd volume of Fool Knight from Kasumi Yasuda. This is such a good series, and kind of embarrassing when I was doing my Q&A, I did not remember this series, even though I absolutely loved the 1st volume, and I absolutely loved the 2nd volume. So, if you did watch the Q&A, please note that one of my favorite series that come out this year currently is Fool Knight as well. Fool Knight is an absolutely remarkable, like, dystopian sci-fi series. Follows a story about like this, well, the world has now officially lost sunlight. It's been covered in like this blackness, and there's no sunlight. So in order to have oxygen working and going on, and for these people to be able to live, they've created this like procedure that's called transfloration, which allows you to implant a seed into your body, and after I believe it's 2 years, you become a plant, so that you're able to provide oxygen for the people who are still alive. So it's a very, very intense series just across the board with fantastic art, a very interesting and complex story. Man, there's a really intense moment towards the end of this volume that I got me like holding my breath. I was sweating, I was freaking out, and I was like, oh please, not like this. But man, what a great flippin' good series. If you want just an absolutely fantastic action dystopian sci-fi series, definitely check this out. Alright, up next, decided to read Mobile Suit Gundam Char's Counterattack Beltorchica's Children Volume 2 from a bunch of people, which you can see towards the, well, I guess you can't really see it. You can kind of see it. This is a very interesting kind of like, I don't know if it's like a spin-off of Mobile Suit Gundam, but it follows the story about the main character, Rei Amuro, as he's fighting against Char, why am I blanking on his name? It's right there. Char and his new, like, New World Order, basically. It's very silly. There's a really hilarious moment towards the end of this volume that got me just like, oh, it was like, what is going on? Like, because like Mobile Suit Gundam is very much like, feels like a political space drama with a lot of action, but like there's like this hilarious moment where they're like chasing each other through like kind of like a plains. It is so silly, and I was like, what is this? But I'm absolutely loving it. It makes me definitely want to check out more Mobile Suit Gundam stuff for sure. Alright, up next, decided to read the 2nd and aka the final volume of Naruto, Sasuke's Story, the Uchiha and the Heavenly Stardust, the manga, from Masashi Kishimoto, Jun Asaka, and Shingo Kimura. And yeah, this was great. I had a really good time with it. It was just really fun to have a really solid spin-off series following the story of Sasuke and Sakura. I love like the random dinosaurs for some reason. Like, I don't know why there's just dinosaurs. They just are, and it's kind of hilarious and feels a lot out of place, but also it's just really entertaining opinion because dinosaurs are cool. Yeah, I had a great time with it. Would I suggest it for anybody who has not read Naruto or Boruto? Absolutely not, because it will not make any sense to you, and it's not that great unless you know the context of Sasuke and Sakura. So overall, I had a great time with it, and I think if you are a Naruto fan, you will also have a great time with it. Alright, up next, decided to read Trillion Game from, wow, am I blanking? Riichiro Inagaki and Ryoichi Ikegami. I talked about this in the reading log, and, or not the reading log, this is the reading log. I talked about this in the, FVI, and yeah, I said it was pretty solid across the board. Really love the characters and the story. The art for me is a little hit or miss. There's some times where Ikegami just draws some of the very strange faces, but overall, it was a great time. Basically follows a story about these two guys who are polar opposites and end up wanting to become trillionaires or become super duper rich so they could do whatever the hell they want. It's just a fun time. It's just like kind of like poor people just effing around with rich people, and it's just a lot of fun. So overall, I think it was pretty good. The art just was not my favorite, but you know, sometimes you can just look past that if there's a really good story. Alright, we are into the vinyl section. Here we go. The Girl from the Other Side, Volume 2 from Seal, from Nagabe, or Nagabe? I don't know how to pronounce it, but, yeah, this is a really good series, but it basically follows a story about this girl here, who is, like, in this kind of, like, opposite world, the outer world, I think is what they call it, but it's, like, full of these demon-looking people, and, she's, like, the only human, and, they are basically together. He's, like, kind of like a demon who's kind of lost his memories and stuff like that, but protects her and understands like there's a curse or whatever. But first volume left off on a huge cliffhanger, and volume 2 also left off on a huge cliffhanger, but just a really interesting story with an absolutely gorgeous art style. It's so beautiful. I love it a lot. It reminds me of kind of like old school children's books, I think is like the best way to put it. So if you're looking for a very interesting kind of like fantasy, sort of like demons versus angels kind of story, definitely give this one a shot. It's really cool. Alright, up next, The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity from Sakamikame. This is Volume 2. Yeah, absolutely loved it. Love the growth of the characters, just in general, especially for our main crew, and also their friends. I really love this volume, and I'm super excited to read the third one, because it's going to be a great time. Alright, up next, decided to read the final volume of Since I Could Die Tomorrow. This is volume 4 from Sumako Kari, and overall, it was a pretty good volume. I will say, I kind of wish there was a little bit more with this series. I feel like the focus on the main character was kind of lost through some of the in-between volumes, and yeah, we do get like stories with her, but we also get kind of like these B plots and C plots, which are interesting, but don't necessarily feel very well woven in to the overall narrative. It just kind of feels like, hey, you remember she met that one friend, let's talk about her again, and it just kind of feels like it's just kind of thrown in there. So some of the storytelling is a little spotty. It does get a little odd just here and there in terms of its pacing, but overall I thought it was a really good story just in general. I think like the ideas were there, and when it was cooking a fantastic 5-course meal. So I just kind of wish that it was a little bit more well paced in terms of its A plot, B plot, and C plot. But overall, I thought it was pretty solid, and I'm very much interested to see what Sumako Kari is going to do next. Alright, up next, the final volume from the FVI that I did. This is Otonari Complex, Volume 1 from Saku no Nomura, and yeah, I actually enjoyed this quite a bit. I think it has good art, stories, and characters, which is not necessarily rare, but it doesn't happen super often, where I do enjoy just about everything in a pretty even state. Like, I wouldn't say there's anything in particular that completely blew me away, but I did very much enjoy it. Basically, it follows a story about this handsome girl and this guy who likes to cross-dress because his sister used to make him cross-dress as a kid, and now he's grown comfortable in doing that. So it's kind of about them dealing with their identities, as well as like the people's opinions on them and how they're affected by these things. So overall, I actually really liked it. I thought it was a very good first volume, and definitely interested to see where the second volume is going to go. Alright, up next, decided to read a Daphne of In the Brilliant Blue from Shiki Satoshi. And yeah, this was a pretty interesting kind of like I want to say like a science fiction kind of story. Follows a story about this girl here who's like basically like this like really good writer of these kind of like jet ski looking things, from what I could tell. It was really fun. I had a great time with it. The art's pretty solid across the board. The story is pretty straightforward. Yeah, I believe this is supposed to be like a prequel to a series, if I remember correctly. So didn't really know exactly what I was getting into, but I am very much interested to read or watch whatever the next part is supposed to be, because yeah, this was pretty solid. Just a good little short read. Alright, up next, decided to read Watch Dogs Tokyo Volume 2 from Seiichi Shirato and Shuhei Kamo. Yeah, I am absolutely loving this. This has been an extremely fun adaptation of Watch Dogs. I think it's doing Watch Dogs a huge favor, because I think the games aren't necessarily the most interesting things in the world, but man, this manga is really flipping cool, and I think takes advantage of the pretty solid storytelling and world building that Watch Dogs did build, just wasn't necessarily done or executed in the best way, in my opinion, in the games. But really enjoying it. It's a hell of a lot of fun. The art is really good, and I'm really loving the mystery and the action that's going on already. Alright, up next, decided to read the final volume currently that is out of Yotsuba. This is volume 15 from Kiyohiko Azuma. Yeah, this was a nice little send-off. You know, if this is the last volume we'll get in English, which I highly doubt it is. But for the final volume for now, this was a really good volume. I love the stories of them traveling to the beach to go look at rocks. It just reminded me of how much I used to love doing that as a kid. Just finding rocks, finding sticks, finding things, and just like thinking it's like the coolest thing ever. And you know what? Collecting rocks is still the coolest thing ever, not gonna lie. So yeah, Yotsuba is just a really fantastic series of bringing out that inner child in you, like just giving you the nostalgic feeling of remembering to doing these things as kids, jumping around in leaves, searching for bugs, being silly, going over to your friends' houses to play around, and drawing, making mistakes, and just learning from them, and like learning how to ride a bike. There's just, man, there's so many great stories throughout all of Yotsuba, and I think Volume 15 is a great example of that, just from start to finish. So I really like the series. I think it's definitely worth checking out, regardless if you like sci-fi series. I think it's just worth checking out, just so you can feel something, you know? Alright, up next, I decided to read If My Favorite Pop Idol Made It to the Budokan, I Would Die. And I kind of really like where this story is going. I know the romance is like the slowest burn you've ever seen in your entire life, because, oh my goodness, I just wish they'd start dating already. But I really like the other themes it tackles a lot more. I actually find that to be more interesting in this series. Like the idea that like of success versus having fun and being entertaining and entertaining yourselves, like feeling the pressure from the people around you, from your peers, and becoming the best of the best. And yeah, it's just, I think it's just really good. I liked it. I like this volume quite a bit because it tackles a lot of those themes. I think with a careful nuance, and it's also just like very much done in a tasteful way. Like it feels very much very real, I guess, is the best way to put it. Like, it doesn't feel like it's tasteless. It doesn't feel like, oh, everything will be fine. We're all gonna fix it. So, yeah, I really enjoyed this volume quite a bit. Alright, up next, I decided to read In Your Pasta, Volume 9. We are officially reaching Sango's story. I think she shows up at, like, towards the end of this volume, which is, like, finally for me, because I've always seen her and, like, the big boomerang, and I'm like, wow, that's such a cool character design. I wish I knew when she came in, so glad she's in the story now. But, yeah, Inuyasha just continues to be a little fun little read every once in a while. Like, I'm not super invested in it, but I don't have to be, because it's very much episodic. So, a lot of the characters are a lot of fun. And yeah, excited to read the next volume. Whew. Alright, up next, decided to read The Summer Hikaru Died, Volume 4 from Moku Mokuren. Oh boy. Oh wow. The plot thickens, as they say. Feels like it's getting much more intense. It feels like we're learning a lot more about what is actually going on in this village that they live in. And yeah, my heart rate is up to like 120. Is that healthy? Probably not. But yeah, this series is just really good at building up the tension, the drama, and just also building the mystery in such a strong and very complex way, because I feel like the story is not necessarily the most straightforward thing in the world, at least in terms of like the mysteries that are building up, but I'm really interested to see how the story is going to introduce them. So overall, really love this volume and excited to get the next one. Alright, up next, decided to read the final volume of Glitch. This is volume 4 from Shima Shinya, and I wasn't expecting it to end so quickly. I was like, no! Dang it, I really thought we had another volume. But I think it ends pretty well. I will say I was a little underwhelmed by the ending. I kind of wish we got a little bit more, but I do like how, I do appreciate that it's kind of an open-ended ending. There's very much a cliffhanger there at the end that allows you to kind of fill in the blanks for yourself and maybe like build out what you think might happen next in the story, which I think is pretty cool. But overall, I thought Glitch was really a very fun, very beautiful, like sci-fi, not really sci-fi, supernatural mystery series. I had a great time with it, and I love the characters, I love the art, like always, Shima Shinya's just has some absolutely gorgeous art, and I really like where the story was going, but like I said, I just feel like it didn't, I feel like we weren't done yet, but for what it is, I think it was still a very good story just across the board. I think there's some really interesting points that are made throughout the series. So overall, I loved it, and yeah, very much excited to keep on reading more Shima Shinya work. Whew! Alright, up next, decided to read Baby Bear's Bakery Volume 3, or Part 3 from Kamentotsu. It just continues to be absolutely adorable, and I love it a lot. There isn't much else to say about it because it's pretty straightforward. It's basically just a bear who runs a bakery, and it's cute as heck. Alright, up next, decided to read Usutoki Rhetoric Volume 7 from Ritsu Miyako. Yep, continues to also be peak fiction. Been loving this shoujo mystery drama. It's our shoujo mystery, kind of like coming of age story. It's really good. I love it a lot, and we just get some more context about some of the characters' backstories, which is really cool. So overall, love this volume, and I have to get to the next couple volumes as soon as possible. Alright, coming up next, we decided to read Kimi ni Todoke from You to You Volumes 10 and 11, and absolutely remarkable, so good. I love this series so much as well. Just a really wonderful rom-com following the story of Sawako and Kasahaya, who have officially, spoiler alert, started dating. And I love them so much. They are lovely and wonderful. But yeah, I like to see their character finally, you know, together. It only took absolutely forever, but really excited to see where their relationship is going to go, and really excited to see where some of the other relationships are going to go as well. And last but not least, for September 2024, I decided to read Magi Lumiere Magical Girls Incorporated Volume 3 from Seka Iwata and Yu Aoki. Yeah, we get to meet some of the other like magical girl groups and stuff like that, and magical girl companies. It's really good. I love the story. The art is fantastic as well, and we also get some interesting mysteries built into this volume. We learned some pretty interesting stuff that may have happened in the past between one of the largest magical girl companies and our main company. So I'm really interested to see how that is going to play out. And that's going to be it. I'm sorry, I choked on my spit. But that's going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching another lovely reading log. What did you read in the past month, or what you're reading right now? Let me know in the comments below. That would be super cool to do that. I have been adding stuff to my reading list. So I most likely will be reading something that people have been suggesting. That'll probably be a video that either comes out in October or November. We'll see. But definitely excited, and hopefully you guys are hyped about reading that as much as I am hyped to read your suggestions. And yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. You can like, you can comment, you can subscribe. Those are all amazing things. Thank you so much. You all are lovely, and you can also join my membership if you want to get these videos early, or if you want to support me in any way financially. That's super cool. Do not feel obligated to, though, because your views and your likes and your comments mean the world to me regardless. So thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Yeah.